So here's a lesson. I currently have 31 amps going into my leisure battery. So this morning, I let my leisure battery drain down. I was running my laptop chargers and I knew my battery was below 10% and I let it drain. I've tried calling local campsites. I'd like to book on for a campsite overnight so I can charge the battery up by plugging into shore power. And all the campsites are closed. The nearest one to where I was in Dunkeld doesn't open till March 17th. There is one in Pitlochry, but I think they don't open till April. So I need to try and find out if I need to try and find a campsite or somewhere that I can plug into power so I can get power for overnight. And that would put my battery up to 100%. So the problem I've had is that my lithium battery has never actually been fully charged. Because I can't fit the camper up the driveway at the house, I've never been able to plug it into power. And so I only have charge when I'm driving or through solar. Now it's winter, so solar hasn't been great. At the moment, let's see if I can figure out what solar's actually delivering, if anything. Victron, where are you? Victron Connect. So the solar panel at the moment, and bear in mind it's now 5 o'clock. I've wasted an entire day on this. I've got 4 solar panels for a total of 700 watts. And they are currently generating 4 watts. So there's not a great deal. And today it hasn't been great. We've put out, I think I've got 150 watts out of them I had today in total. So it's been a really overcast day. It's just not been great. So what happened was this morning, the battery went flat and everything in the van shut off. And I looked everywhere trying to find out what the problem was. I connected my solar panel up directly to my battery. I've got a cable running through the van that runs to connect the solar from the MPPT controller. Instead of going through the electrical block unit in the van, I go straight to the leisure battery, the lithium. So the intention is that it should be getting a better current throughput into the lithium. I can use the lithium profile on the MPPT controller so it knows how to charge up the lithium directly rather than going through the electro block, which only has a gel or a lead acid setting. So that's the way you really want to do it. But it wasn't charging. It was charging on the solar, but the solar, because it's been such a cloudy day, was getting 1, maybe 2 amps. So all day long, it's only up to 10% now. And when I ran the van, now normally I get about 16 amps going into it when I'm running the van, but I turned the van on and it was getting nothing. There was no charge coming out of it, only the 2 amps from the solar. I tried running my generator and plugging into the shore power, which is technically shore power. Still nothing. So I was getting no charge coming out of the electric block unit into my leisure battery. I checked all the connections. I went online. I have people who just tell you answers to questions you don't even ask. And I checked all the fuses in the electro block. They were all fine. And then lo and behold, at 5 o'clock this evening, after I'd already been to Perth once and tried to get a DC to DC charger from Halfords and drove back up to Dunkeld, because they didn't have one that would charge up what I needed. So then I started calling around campsites and found out they were all closed. So I'm sat in Dunkeld, and then I happened to check the fuse on the front of my leisure battery. It's a 40 amp fuse. It's called a maxi block fuse. It's this one here. Right? And it's blown. So I guess what happened, the only thing I can think of has happened, is the electro block unit, which deals in the split charge relay from the engine battery into my leisure battery. Because the leisure battery went so low, it must have thrown as many amps as it could at it, right? So, I mean, at the moment, I've got 28 amps going into it. A few minutes ago, I had 33. So it's going down as the battery gets, it's up to 11% now. So as we get a bit of charge into the battery, the current flow is going down. But I'm guessing when the battery was absolutely flat, it probably put 50, 60 amps going into the battery, which blew this 40 amp fuse. So yeah, so I bought a replacement and a spare. So I've now got current going into my battery. I'm gonna have to leave the engine running. I'm gonna try and get this battery up to 20%. I'm gonna go light on the energy tonight. I am gonna call around and see if I can find a campsite somewhere I can plug into, even if I have to drive further north. There's one in Pitlochry. I might go and see what that is, or is it Blair Athol, or up in the Cairngorms I might go over to, just somewhere that I can find some power to plug into, probably tomorrow. Yeah, I think now I'll go shopping, because now that I know I've got a fridge that'll work, I can go and buy some food, because I was actually planning my meals for the next couple of days around emptying things that were in the fridge, because the fridge is still cold, but it's not turned on because I had no battery. So I was trying to figure out what to eat over the next couple of days to get rid of all the food in the fridge, but I should be okay now. So I'll go for a bit of a drive. I will let this thing charge up, get it to 20%, but I think going forward the plan is don't let your leisure battery get below 10%. Steve from Romer Batteries, he said 20%, but I always thought the thing about lithium is it can go down to nothing. And I guess if you have a proper DC to DC charger, then yeah, that's the case. But when you're running off a charger which has a profile for lead acid batteries, then it's not going to work quite the same, is it? So yeah. So what I've had people telling me is, oh yeah, you can use your lead acid setting once in a while. Well, I don't understand how once in a while works, because this controller is part of my motorhome, right? It's not something that I plug in when I choose to. It's what I've got. So it's all I've got. So for now, it's the way to charge up my battery. So yeah, and that's that. I just wish that when you asked a question, people would give you the answer and not, you know, pearls of their wisdom on things you don't really ask the question for. But I guess that's the way people are. I try not to. I try to just answer the question if I can. So anyway, I digress. I've got power going into the battery. I have fridge. I can have heating. I can have hot water. I can have whatever I want now. I just need to go and get some juice into this thing, and I need to find somewhere to plug in overnight so I can get the battery up to 100%. That's my goal. All right. So anyway, it's been a hell of a day. I was supposed to take tomorrow off work. Instead, I think I've taken today off. I might still take tomorrow off. We'll see. I do have some other stuff I have to get done, so I need some time off. And I wanted to go for a bike ride today, but I never got to it because I was faffing around with this battery all day long, trying to find out what the problem was. So anyway, that's that. All's well that ends well, I guess. And we now have a battery that's charging up again. All right, there you go.